Manchester United under United Ten Hag was supposed to be a new era, a return to a tactical discipline and attacking football, but instead the team seems stuck between potential and inconsistency. In this video with 4 games in Tactical Cam we will break down the tactical issues and uncover why Ten Hag's tactics aren't working. In the build-up phase, Manchester United lacks the awareness to exploit available spaces. Here Onana and the centre-backs attract pressure, freeing Dalot. However, when he receives the ball, he fails to take advantage of the space to create a passing option for Rashford and Bruno, but instead he plays backwards. Typically, United's offensive structure is a 3-4-2-2, designed to create more options for inner and horizontal passing. However, opponents often close down the central channels, forcing United to play to the fullbacks, who are the free players. However, the opposition presses these fullbacks, cutting off passing lines. Moreover, the players off the ball struggle to understand how to occupy spaces effectively. When Dalot receives the ball, Bruno opens up space, but Rashford remains in the same area as Bruno, nullifying a passing option for Dalot, especially since Mount is too far away to occupy that space. Often, Ten Hag's side shifts their structure to a 3-1-6, relying on a single player to connect the defenders with the attackers. However, this setup is nearly impossible, as that player is surrounded by 6 opponents. As a result, Onana often plays long passes to Dalot, who typically makes diagonal runs to finish the attack quickly. The second player who attempts to make line-breaking passes is Casemiro. In this instance, Ahmad creates space for Mazraoui, and Casemiro takes the risk by playing a long pass. The third player who executes this type of passes is Bruno Fernandes. He plays long and quick passes into the open spaces. However, when the ball reaches these areas, they often try to play through passes or make runs into the box with Garnacho or Rashford. As a result, this approach becomes predictable, as seen in the match against Spurs, where the opponent had more variations to get into the box. Many times we see a poor distribution of the midfielders, with one dropping back to the defensive line, another one moving forward, leaving only one midfielder in the central channels to connect the defense with the attack, making very predictable the progression through the sides. This type of setup complicates the player's ability to find passing lines and spaces. As seen against Porto, most of the passes to progress into the opponent's half came from the left side, isolating Højlund from the team. In the match against Spurs, United relied more on horizontal passes and direct balls to the wingers. Xerxes even had to drop back into Bruno's zone to get involved. Therefore, Manchester United needs to adapt a different setup in the build-up, such as a 1-4-3-3, to utilize the width of the field and create more passing options for Onana and the centre-backs. Against Liverpool, we saw that United's setup was a 1-4-3-3, with Mainu helped Casemiro in creating passing lines. However, when Bruno received the ball, he was pressed and forced to play backwards. Casemiro recognized the spaces created by Liverpool's pressing and attempted a risky pass, which was intercepted, leaving United at numerical disadvantage during the defensive transition. Now we see that they have changed their build-up structure, leaving Mainu alone in the midfield. This made it easy for the opponents to press him with 3 players, allowing them to recover the ball and create numerical superiority in the final third. As a result of this system, Manchester United frequently loses possession in their own half, enabling opponents to launch offensive transitions with numerical superiority. Manchester United also faces several issues in the defensive structure. In Zone A, they press with 5 players to cover the central channels, but when the opponent switches the ball to the flank, Rashford is slow to track back and can't cover the passing line to the fullback. Now Manchester United's defensive structure is a 1-4-4-2, but when one striker jumps to press, he ends up in numerical inferiority, leaving the opponent's centre-backs free, as the other striker is focused on covering the passing line to the defensive midfielder. This allows a centre-back to carry the ball into the space, as United's midfielders are more focused on man marking than covering space. An opposing attacker can drop into the free space, linking up with the defensive midfielder, who should have been marked. From there, they can switch play to Manchester United's weak side, exploiting Dalot, who is not a left back. Ten Hag's strikers and wingers lack the intelligence and aggressiveness needed in pressing. In this instance, Bruno should have been covering the passing line and Rashford should have tracked the fullback, because Man Utd is pressing the defensive midfielder. As the fullback has time to control the ball, he can see that Man Utd freed the defensive midfielder to cover Rashford's back. Therefore, when he receives the ball, Man Utd has to cover two passing lines. This makes it easy for the opponents to take advantage and advance through United's midfield. Many times Man United leaves spaces between the pressure block and the defensive line, allowing the opponent's attackers to anticipate the centre-backs and have numerical superiority in the final third. This also happens on the flanks. When a winger presses a centre-back, the opponent creates numerical superiority against United's fullback. A centre-back then steps out of position to help him, but this opens up space for the opponent's strikers. This video is brought to you by Metrica Sports, the fundamental tool for every coach and analyst. Create and manage all your video analysis in one platform. When Manchester United defends in a low block, the wingers don't track back to help, as they fail to follow the opposing fullbacks. Therefore, the opponent often finds a free player in the final third. Additionally, the wingers fail to track the opponents and the midfielders drop back too slowly, allowing the opponent to attack with numerical superiority and create scoring opportunities. Additionally, Manchester United's midfield is weak in defensive transitions, as they struggle to counter-press after losing possession. This leaves too much space for a single midfielder, often Eriksen, who is not strong defensively and struggles to recover the ball. As a result, the centre-backs frequently have to step out of position to intercept passes or track runners. The times they lose the ball in the midfield, United often struggle to cover key spaces because the team ends up broken, with midfielders attempting to support the fullbacks. These leave gaps that opponents exploit, allowing players from the second line to enter into the box. We often see the team broken. First, gaps appear between players within the same line, such as the midfielders. Then a large space is created between the midfield and the defensive line. Finally, there's huge space between the attackers and midfielders. As a result, the opponent can easily switch play to the opposite flank, as the midfielders are pulled out of position trying to cover all the gaps. Finally, we see that this defensive structure creates numerical inferiority in the midfield when the opponent plays with three midfielders, leaving an unmarked player in the midfield as the defensive line is pinned by the attackers. When an opposing centre-back finds a midfielder due to poor pressing by United's strikers, the opponent can attack with a numerical superiority in the final third, using the width of the pitch to exploit this advantage. Share your thoughts about Man United's tactical issues. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.